Hey guys, how you going? As you can see today, I'm standing up for this review because what we're going to do is talk about a stabilizer today. So recently I've acquired the RS4, the Ronin RS4 Pro version of the stabilizer. So I'll bring it up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's a great DJI product. I've owned these before. I've actually owned the RS1, I've owned the RS3, and they were both the standard models, and this is the Pro version of the RS4. And the reason I've got the Pro version was, actually, look, to be honest with you, I bought the standard version first of the RS4, tried to mount my Z9 to it, and it was really all just too big and heavy for that unit. Really was suitable for something more like a Z6 or Z7 or something around that size. Maybe even a Z8 you could get away with. But once I actually started putting the Z9 on with the extra weight and height and the big heavy lens, it just wasn't coping. So I thought what I'll do is I'll get the Pro version instead, upgrade a little bit. Not so much for any Pro features per se, but more so just for the extra volume that it can take up on the top. It's got a bigger head unit, so that made more practical use for the Z9 application. So I've bought the Pro version and I'm very happy with it. So some of the features I do like about it is that the sliding mechanisms for adjustment and balance are Teflon coated. And when you're making those minor incremental adjustments, it didn't grip anymore. Last time it was like, scratchy and was jittery. It was very hard to actually get a smooth motion to do fine tuning. Now with the Teflon coating, it's made the fine tuning just a little bit more convenient and smooth. The other thing I like is the more volume in the head area. So when you're mounting a bigger camera, you've got more room to be versatile and get your balance and feel more confident with that. And the actual motor units in this apparatus now are a little bit bigger. So the Pro version has more powerful motors and a greater capacity by about 50% over the standard version. So all in all, for someone who uses as I do, big heavy primes, and I have a large unit of a camera, it made more sense to go with the Pro version. There are some other features that I did appreciate. Little things, look, I'll just show you. It comes in this wonderful little padded bag, which is very compact, but of high quality. I like that if I want to travel all the way. You go put it in an airport or something. This is something you can put in your overhead locker and keep it safe and secure if you wanted to travel with it that way. But it was just a nice touch because the previous version, the standard version, just really comes in a box with foam, a cardboard box. So to have a proper little suitcase for it was a great accessory. The other thing I like about it was that they did include a handle. Now on this one here, as you can see, there is a handle, but this is actually the small rig handle. Now I had this small rig handle already, and I opted to use this rather than the one they provide because I just felt that this was a little bit more comfortable and had a few more options to fit accessories to it. And overall, the package of this one just seemed to be a little nicer to use. So it's not that they don't provide a good unit, but this one that I already possessed from small rig, I found that a little bit more comfortable and practical for me. And I did like the aesthetics of it and the look. So that was nice. Other accessories I purchased for this is the sliding head here to mount the camera on. This, what we would call here this sliding head here is a Manfrotto style head, and it's got actually an Arco Swiss mount on it. That's an aftermarket product as well, and I purchased that from Small Rig. They make that, so it just keeps everything a bit more lower profile, and also being that it's the versatile Arco Swiss mount, it's very quick to get the camera on and off. So without something that's like unique or different to all my other fittings. So I've made it universal. I can use it with my various cages and L brackets. And as I say, it's a wonderful idea that it keeps it so low profile. Another little advantage of this unit here, which I like, is that I put these two handles on. Now again, these are small rig components, accessories, and as you can see, what happens now is I can actually hold this thing up and have full control over the unit in a very comfortable pose where my arms are into my chest here, as you can see. And it enables me therefore to use it in a way that I can hold it up and grip it for some time and have a lot of control and comfort. Another thing about the Pro version which is good is the foot. The foot on the standard version is actually plastic. The foot on this Pro version is aluminium and rubberized on top. So it's actually a little bit more heavy duty and comfortable to work with. I feel a lot more confident having an aluminium foot, thinking that that's going to be a little bit more stable and powerful. Now you may also notice as other accessories are going, you'll notice these little clips here. And what are they all about? Well, that's to hook straps onto. And that's another accessory I wanted to talk to you about. So this whole unit here I'm really using for long extensive periods of time. I've had the lighter versions with my Z6 on, and you can hold the lighter version up with a smaller camera for so many minutes, but it doesn't take long before you're shaking or your arms are getting tired for holding it up continuously. So when you just pan around for a minute or so, you don't notice it. But after about 3 to 5 minutes, it's really getting heavy and awkward and uncomfortable. And if you're trying to do one long continuous take, that can really wreck your video. So what I've found is I've got a rig and an apparatus now that enables me to hold it for a long period of time. So these do help. They are great. I mean, these are the ones that will tilt in any angle you like with a flick of a button, so you can make it always comfortable and practical. But I'll show you the other accessory I bought that I was very impressed, and that's from the Tilta company. So let me show you that here. So what this is, it's a belt, and the belt goes around your waist, and it's sort of like, you know, the people who go game fishing and they have the belts and they put their fishing rod in and they can pull up the marlin or the big bluefin tuna, and it gives them some sort of stability and comfort. Saves hurting their back and shoulders. Well, that's exactly the principle of this. So let me just show you its operation very quickly. It just straps on like any belt would strap on. I'll try and be quick and painless about it. There we go, we lock that on there, and I just adjust it so it's nice and tight. And you want this thing as tight as practical as you can get it, because the tighter this is, the safer it is. So if I just move the table so you can see what's going on here, you can see it sticks up like this. Now, if I was to walk around with this for some time and not using it, I'll put it to the side. Not because this is in any way annoying or in the way for you, but what it is, it just looks ridiculous. If you've got that sitting up like that, it almost looks like you've got some incident going on there. So when I'm actually using it, it's fine, and that's its purpose. But what happens here is I can just collapse up this leg and it slots in here. Now, isn't that a brilliant design? And now you're taking all the weight off it. This rig is actually taking, the belt is taking all the weight of the unit. So now, like with one finger, you can hold it up and there's no weight involved for your arms. All your arms are doing now is you're just getting comfortable and you're just balancing it. So you can walk around with this and move around. You can use it as you please if you wanted to keep it like this. And it's a very comfortable way of taking, well, you're basically turning your body into a tripod. Spread your legs a little bit apart, support it up close to your chest, and you're pretty much a human tripod with this now with no weight on your arms. So it's very practical. So what I'll do is, I should really just turn this thing on, shouldn't I? So you can get an idea of its operation. Right now it's in locked mode. So if I come around here and show you, there's a button on the side, you turn the power on. And once you turn the power on, it just takes a few seconds to activate. And there we go, we're up and running now. And now we've got a nice, smooth, fluid, versatile gimbal arrangement. Now, as I say, that's all very well when you're locked into this gimbal and belt, but you know, to pull it out, it's no effort at all to take that out. You want to get your low slung shots and do your high shots or whatever you want. You can still hold it whenever you wish. You can use the handle. You know, it depends on how you want to use the rig to be most effective for your use in video. But I'm loving the fact that when I want to rest my arms, I can without having to actually put it down on the ground. Because, you know, you put it down on the ground, it's very easy to someone to kick it or yourself to kick it over and you can damage your gear. This way it's always safe and secure. Now, there is one more attachment to this that makes it even more safe, and that's where these little clips come in. You can actually have a harness arrangement with straps to support it as well. So let me just put that on and I'll illustrate for you how that all operates. So I'll put this down, maybe it's out of sight for a little while. Now, they actually provide, when you buy the Tilta system, they provide you a harness. It's a very simple light harness with some straps. I actually personally didn't find that very comfortable or practical. I found it all a bit wobbly. So what I've decided to do is utilise my pre-existing cotton rig. So I got this cotton carrier rig here, which I've been using for some time, and I can use that now. So if I just slip that over, I can use this harness, which I find very good. Put this on. Oh, that's not going to work for me, is it? Because I've got the sound going on here. So sorry, I've done this before, and it's very naughty of me. So I'll try and rescue that without making too much noise. There we go, we put that on. I've got my microphone here. So I'll just clip this back on so it's safe. Probably won't get the best sound in the world now because it's dropped down a bit, but for the purpose of this illustration, I need to do something like that. So here we go, and I've got these two little handles here and straps that are attached up to the shoulder area. And what this whole thing does now is when I put it all together, and you'll see this, put it all together, and you whack the little straps on. There's one there, and that one there. And now, as you can see, I'm hands-free. I don't even have to hold it to keep it operational and going. So now that's fantastic for the fact that I'm totally hands-free and there's no weight on the arms at all should I wish to have hands-free operation. So I can have it just balancing there, and it will balance all day, and I'm a human tripod and I'm not having to use my hands at all. When I want to use the camera, I can bring it out and I can still get some motion and shots and panning and so on if I want to. And to disconnect it, well, it's relatively quick and easy. If I decide I need to do some tricky little angles, I can quickly disconnect that and off I go again, filming in any way I like. But the combination of this belt and also the vest makes it an amazing apparatus to use all day. So if you're doing a lot of video work and like say doing a wedding for the day or some other event, it's excellent to have this support with you so your arms aren't turning to mush by the end of the day. So I've taken the belt and vest off, as you can see, and we're back with our sound where it should be. So I apologise if there was any knocking and clanking around the sound there. But I find the sound is very important to me, so I like to make sure that that's going well. So we're back into a comfortable position now. But that's the rig I've recently acquired, and I just wanted to run you through that and basically why I've got it. Most of the reason I bought the Pro version, which is 50% more expensive than the standard one, was because I've got a bigger camera now. And previously I used to use a Z6 for most of my video work, and now of course with the Z9 I needed something that could take the capacity, particularly with these heavier lenses. Now you can look at the lens and you go, oh, what's it got such a big heavy lens on? Well, the heavy lens is actually a Sigma lens. It's a 24mm f1.4 prime, and I love this lens because it's a great wide angle lens, and because of the aperture I can get a nice shallow depth of field, and if I'm shooting inside I can also get quite a lot of light coming in. Now I have its little sister lens here, which is a 35mm f1.4. Now why do I have the 35 and the 24? Well, interestingly, this one will give you a lovely shallower depth of field because it's a longer focal length, and also gives a nice tighter in, say, head or upper body shot. When you're doing things like videos and etc. or interviews, it's very important to sort of isolate your subject and make sure that they look their best. And this 35 will really do a great job of that. The 24 is excellent for versatility and wider angle, but the 35, its sister lens if you like, is excellent for doing portraits and headshots. And the thing I like about it the most is I can swap and change them using the FTZ adapter, and the weight is the same. They both weigh exactly 650 grams or thereabouts, and that way there's no rebalancing. So if I decide I want to go from 35 to 24 or back again, I can do that without having to rebalance the camera because they're both about the same size and weight. So that's a fantastic option. That's why I have both of them. So for the, I think they cost me about $450 Australian each for these, which is incredible value, being that they're second-hand units. You can buy and pick them up really affordably, and they're an excellent unit. Now you may notice both of them have filters on them, and I always using filters because I find that the aperture is so bright. If I don't use a filter, I'm going to get in big trouble. Now, that doesn't mean I can't use a Nikon lens. I have here a 50mm 1.8 Nikon S lens. So if I want a native Nikon lens, I can use that. That's not a problem. And I also have the other native Nikon Z mount lens, and this is the 28mm 2.8. So it's a very small, lightweight lens, and I can rebalance the camera and the rig for this if I need to. So if I want native lenses, yes, I have them. And for this sort of a unit, I also have here the little Viltrox Z mount lens, and it's a fantastic lens. This is a 20mm 2.8, super wide, very lightweight and easy to transport and bring around with you, and it's a Z mount lens, so it just snaps straight on the camera, so that's great. So if I need something that's silent, if I need something that's native, well, I have those options if I want them, but the Sigma lenses just render a wonderful image of that f1.4, and I find that they're great to use. The interesting thing also about the Sigma lenses, and I'm not trying to sing all their praises, but I'm just saying they'll find them practical, is that using the FTZ adapter, these are actually quieter with the FTZ adapter than the native G-mount lenses. Now, we all remember the old G-mount lenses that we use now at DSLRs and original mirrorless cameras. Well, what's interesting about those is that they're actually a lot noisier on the FTZ adapter. I don't know why that is, but they make a hell of a grindy, crunchy noise. These make some little bit of a noise, but it's only about half what the G-mount Nikon lenses are. So I find that the Sigma one's a better value all around as an option, cheaper and quieter, and they're very nice and sharp. So that's enough about the lenses, but I did want to run you through my choices, that I have both Nikon Z-mount options and I also have some Sigma options too. It depends on the circumstances and what I'm doing. If I'm trying to really isolate a subject and get a shallow depth of field in a darker environment, I'm going to go for these because of the wide aperture. But if I'm just doing some versatile shooting and maybe several people in the scene, then the Nikon Z-mount lenses are also quite terrific too. And they're nice and quiet because they are native Z mounts. So that's running you through on that part of it. There is more to talk about, and that'll be things like sound, for example. Now, as you know, right now I'm using sound. I've got a, I don't know if you can pick that up there, might be able to just see it, but there is the Deity recording system. So I'm recording into this and I'll sync that sound later with the sound on the mobile phone. I'm actually using my Galaxy G21 at the moment. I'm using that because I don't have another camera right now. I've had to sell a lot of my camera gear, some lenses, some equipment, tripods and spare camera in order to purchase all this gear. So because I've changed my style of work and use, I've had to make some changes in equipment. So I'm having to resort to using my mobile phone for these videos for some time. It might not be for very long, might only be a few months. But for a few months I use that and I'll just make do for the time being. So talking about different options, I just want to also explain that when you're using, for example, if I'm going to use something like this, that lens there, or even this 51.8 on this unit, the weight difference for balancing, sometimes it's easier just to add weight than try and rebalance the whole mechanism. Now this lens here is 450 grams, this one here is 650 grams. That's a 200 gram difference. You can buy from Small Rig these they're stainless steel weights, and they're very inexpensive to buy. And what you can do is when you want to put a lighter lens on, all you have to do is screw them in. There's a little mount there at the end of that little bracket, and what it does is that'll counterweight the difference in the lens weight. So that's 200 grams, there was 200 grams difference. I can screw that on and it makes the balancing almost insignificant. I don't even really have to rebalance, but even if I did, it would be just a minor incremental thing. So these little weights are quite handy from Small Rig if you're changing lenses that have a dramatic difference in weight. And particularly if you've got something like this, which weighs about 200 grams, well then what you can do is you can simply use two of the weights together. See, these things will screw in. There you go, and then you can put that on. You can actually screw it from underneath or on top, however you can make it fit. But that's just some options that I thought I'd run you through that I found quite interesting. So another thing I'd like to briefly talk about, and I won't waffle on too much about this, but it is the necessity of your filters. Now I've got a range of 67 and 77 mil filters here because the 24 has 77 mil filters. The 35 I showed you has 67 mil. So you have a range of filters with you because you never know your lighting situations. And if you want to use that bright aperture, you're going to definitely need some various either ND filters like a 4, an 8 and a 16. And that's usually what I carry with me. And I can make any combination of those to get the light as, toned down as I need to, because these things really are bright. And when you're doing 4K video, it's already bright. I'm using the ProRes system on this in the format, which is, I think native ISO is about 800. And so therefore it can be a very bright image. So you'll need those filters to darken it down so it's a watchable image. So as we were just talking about the various camera accessories that we're going to be using, I did want to talk to you about sound. And of course, I'm wired up for sound right now, of course, with a lav mic. But when it comes to something like this, when you're using a Steadicam rig, it's nice to have something very light that'll do the sound for you, especially if you're doing an interview. So if you're doing an interview style arrangement, I would highly recommend these little Rode To Go units. So Rode To Go, it's a simple little combination of a receiver and a transmitter. And this one here, of course, is the one with the little screen on it that you're going to plug and the cable into the camera. And how do you mount it? Well, it's very simple. Just mount it into the hot shoe of the camera up top there, slides on, plug it into the mic socket, and you're ready to go. Just turn it on and you're right. It'll sync with the receiver here. And this one has a microphone actually inbuilt into it, if you wanted to just use that. So what you can do here is you turn it on, of course, and you can just clip it onto yourself and you've got a microphone and you've got the whole receiver unit. But that looks a little bit obvious. So there is another way around doing this if you want to mount it, and they give you a little attachment, which is a magnet and a steel plate you can put on the back. Now, what's the point of this? Well, it just means you can position it exactly where you want it. So let's say I wanted it on this shirt pocket. Well, you can put the magnet behind this here, and you can mount it there and use it like that. You can put it anywhere on your clothing. So with the magnet arrangement, it's going to stay on. It's a very strong magnet, but beautifully as well, it makes it so versatile to place where you want to place it. And of course you can place it discreetly. So you could put it, for example, something like this under the collar and you hardly notice it's even there. If that was the choice you wanted to, you're still going to pick up the sound. It's actually wind protected too in that situation where you're not going to get, the wind noise blowing over the top of the microphone, and it's very discreet. So there's just some options that I would highly recommend in a situation where you're trying to be as modest, discreet, and as lightweight as possible. And these units literally weigh nothing. I don't know what they weigh, 40 or 50 grams. You just clip them on the top of the camera. You don't even have to rebalance in any way. The balancing is really non-affected because it's central and extremely light. So I highly recommend this Rode system as a very versatile mic system. Of course, you can buy yourself a lav mic. You can connect a lav mic to the socket here, then you could have that actually in your pocket right out of the way and just feed the microphone up like I have here under your shirt, and it's very discreet and operational as well. So the only thing I recommend with these is try not to get too far out of line of sight. So from the camera to the person, when you're using a Steadicam, you're close anyway, usually only a few meters away. But if you're videoing and someone's separating into the distance and they go behind some trees or a building, you may lose the signal of sound because it's out of line of sight. So line of sight is important with these. That's the only thing I would highly recommend you consider. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about, regardless of any microphone you would happen to use if you're using sound, even if you're using a traditional mic that you might place up the top here if you wanted to, always have windsocks with you. So the appropriate sort of a dead cat in order to muffle the wind noise, because you're often outside and it doesn't take much of a breeze to just destroy your sound. So definitely invest in the right little dead cats for them. And of course, when we're talking about lav mics, you can buy exactly those sort of things for your lav mics as well. So as you see here, for the Rode To Go system, for example, they have little clips over the top of their microphone where you can add these little accessories and stop the wind noise on the real Rode To Go system. And then of course you can buy for your lav mics these little dead cat arrangements as well in various colours, and we've got white, black, grey, and another soft grey, smoky grey here. Just put them over the top of the microphone and it stops any of the wind noise coming through. They're a little bit more obvious, yes. I know visually they sort of stand out a bit more, but if you match the colour to the type of clothing you're wearing, you'll find that they don't stand out so much and not too bad. But the main thing is your sound is salvaged, and that's really important. So these things cost next to nothing. They're a few dollars as an accessory, but I highly recommend you get all the little accessories that make the job more professional. You ever heard of the wind noise crackling over the microphone thing? It's terrible. So make sure you protect that and cover yourself with this. There's one other thing I'd like to show you very briefly, and that is the option of lighting. So it's all very well to have a bright aperture lens. That can work quite well, but there are certain situations where you really need to project light onto a subject. And that can be, you could be outside, but it's in a shady environment. And if it's a bit overcast and shady as well, then what you're going to find is everything's just too dark. Your subject isn't popping, it's not standing out. So you might just need a soft light in order to help fill the arrangement. Now, I don't recommend putting a light on top of the camera because that's going to throw your balance out. And that's also adding too much weight up top because there's going to be some sort of a battery arrangement going on. So what I recommend is you actually use the handle to mount a light to, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. Just give me a second, I'll rig it up because it's a little bit boring to watch, but once I have it all set up, I'll show you. So here we go, I've just got all the accessories on the table I need for lighting when we're using something like a Steadicam with a handle. If you've got the handle, this is going to be a real blessing for you. So what I have here is a battery pack first. So we've got a light, which I can show you here. It's the Falcon Eyes, I think this is the 300 LED ring light. And I've got that on a simple little metal mount to attach to the handle. But first, let me show you through the battery pack that it's required to use it. It uses two Sony batteries. These are the NP970 size batteries I'm using, and they fit into this little battery pack, and it has the appropriate slots for them. So you plot them in like that, you just find them the right way around. Plot them in, they fit very nice and neat and tidy into that little package there. And then there's a top, of course, you put on, and you're just lining up the holes. So you can see two holes here, you've got pins and a third pin. You just line them up the correct way around. And there we go. You can see the green light's on. So when the green light is on, it's active. I'm just going to turn that off for a second while I fasten everything down and make it safe. Now for myself, to make sure that this lid stays on, doesn't pop off, I've had issues with it doing so in the past. I've got a little bit of Velcro and a strap around. And what I do is I just fasten that on nice and tight. And that just ensures that the lid never comes off or separates, because sometimes it can get loose. That comes with this cable. So this is the power extension cable, and you just plug that in. It's very simple to operate. Now what I've got here is I've got a little bag I use that comes with a pouch. Actually, when you have it anyway, you can use the independent pouch, but I like a camera bag because it's soft and padded and keeps everything safe and protected. And also you can put accessories in there, so you can put filters and your keys or wallet or whatever else in this small little modest low pro bag, and I found that very handy to use. Now in order to use this here, what you do is just obviously sling it over your shoulders and make it as comfortable as you want. So you can have it here, just adjust the height to suit your comfort level. Give me a few secs. Have it down here to about hip height. I think that's about the right way to have it. There we go. And we're going to attach this power cable to the light very shortly, and it just simply goes into the socket, and then you can turn it on and adjust the color, temperature and brightness. So initially, before I plug it in, I want to mount it obviously to the handle. So what I've done is I've simply got a bent piece of steel with a hole in the bottom and a screw, and I'm going to screw that and just screw it in thumb tight. I have a little bit of rubber there just to make sure it's got a good grip, but just do it reasonably firm by hand. And once that's in, you can see how this light's going to operate now. So that's all great. All you've got to do is power it up. So with this little backpack here I have, plug in the power, and I can turn that on. I turn it on now, you see the light. I'll turn that right down though to its lowest level, just so it's just on, so it's not particularly irritating to you, because it can project quite a bit of light. If I turn this up to its maximum setting, it is actually quite powerful. As you can see there, you've got all sorts of options with the color coding there. You can have it very yellow, you can have it very blue light. You make the mix of power and strength that you want, makes you comfortable. So here we go, we've got that operational. And now when you want to use the unit, of course, I've got the camera fully functional, and I just adjust the light whichever angle I like. So like for example, all you have to do is to do an adjustment here, like that. And you have the light facing forward to wherever you're filming. And as you can see from the back screen here, it's very functional. Now how bright does it go? It goes plenty bright. If you turn that right up, it's going to be nice and strong. Just make sure your batteries are well charged and you'll get a good result with this. And it gives a lovely glow onto whatever you're filming. So that's what I use for a lighting setup when I want to add some lighting. As I say, this is fully adjustable. I can have it on any angle I like. I can, if I needed to tilt it around to a slight angle, I can do that. So you've got many options with that. But the beauty of this one here is I can actually see through that if I needed to. But secondly, it's a nice soft round light. It's not an intense little like a torch beam of light at someone. It's a soft glow. So I find that very effective, and I just wanted to run you through that, and I thought that was pretty cool. I love the way you've got the twin battery pack set up, and the reason for that is that'll last for ages. You'll get several hours worth of operation with those twin batteries. I have several of those batteries. I have them charged and ready to go, so I can swap them in a second or two, and you've got lighting for the day whenever you need it. Now it is a little bit intrusive, so when you need it, you use it. If you don't need it, if you don't really need any light, just put it away and it's no longer a bother to you. But it's great to have lighting when you need it. Nothing more important in any sort of photography or videography than photons. So if you can add some light, that's a great plan to have, a great accessory to have with you. So in summary of this arrangement, In summary of this whole DJI RS4 Pro, the benefits of this one is the more capacity for a bigger camera. So you might start off with, say, a Z6 or a ZF or something like that, and as you may invest in something like a Z8 or a Z9 or Nikon now even purchasing Red, you never know what camera you might be up for in the future. If you get a bigger camera, it's nice to have the capacity available to you. So this is why I like to have the Pro. Not because it's professional as such, but because it's a more versatile package for me. So I think the extra money is worth it. The features are really good. It's very well constructed and put together, and I'm very confident it'll last a long time. Does that mean that the RS4, just the standard version, is no good? Absolutely, I'm not saying that. It's a great unit. It's a great unit if you've got a lighter camera. So for the lighter camera, the standard version is fantastic, but if you've got a heavier camera, don't cheat yourself by buying the mid-range one. You're going to need the Pro version in order to accommodate all your accessories and your heavier camera and lenses. So it just gives me more flexibility and options. So I don't have to only have a lightweight lens. I don't have to keep the camera stripped down to a low weight in order to function. I can put as much on as I need, and I'm always going to be right to go. So thank you for your time on this. I hope you found it informative and interesting. Thank you once again. I hope you can put up with the lesser video quality as I'm using my mobile phone. But thank you very much for your patience with me today. Have a great time.